my god.
Now it's on. Welcome back, everybody, to the finals of the Chantilly Mid-Season Showdown. I am your co-host, Eric, and this is my buddy, Rajan.
Yeah, we here with the finals with Alvin
Tito.
Hidayat versus the tasty boy, Brian Youm in his back-to-back MSS finals.
Yeah, crazy.
I have something to learn from him about how to get points.
Now it's on. Welcome back, everybody. Oh, I love hearing my own voice.
No, turn that off.
Turn that down.
All right, hey everybody. So this is actually really distracting.
Yeah, this is
the
a
TV's
really-
behind us talking to us back what we're saying.
I love hearing myself.
Yeah, I can't handle.
But now we know that you're projecting.
Now we are projecting super loud. Regardless. Oh, all right, cool. That's gone. So we're just waiting for them to start back up. We just saw Brian and we've seen Alvin in top 8, and both of the teams have a very interesting matchup with each other. Alvin is bringing a team that relies on setting up Snorlax. Brian loves to rub his belly the same way, bringing a Azumarill instead of Snorlax, and the interaction between the two will be interesting because regardless of Trick Room on Alvin's side of the team, +6 Aqua Jet from the Azumarill ignores the heck out of those speed tiers, whereas Alvin says, you know what I don't want you to do? Switch in your Amoonguss whenever you want.
Yeah.
Switch in your Coco whenever you want. So I'm going to trap them with the shadows and bring in Gothitelle. So the interactions are pretty unique.
Yeah, so Alvin's team is very focused on pivoting, and with a +6 Azumarill potential, you definitely do not have a lot of room to pivot. Although Alvin's team,
Brian's team?
Yeah, Brian's team has a lot of reliance on that Azumarill. Well, not reliance, but it's definitely a mode that he could consider bringing here.
Well,
and Alvin's team is, like I said, pretty reliant on pivoting, and a lot of intimidates could put like a little bit of a hurdle in Azumarill's path, but I mean you can't really afford to pivot with the potential of +6 Aqua Jet coming your way.
Well, the Peanut Gallery picks their Pokemon quite quickly.
Yeah, that was a very quick preview.
Let's just give credit where credit's due. It's not Alvin's team, it's Nick Navari's team.
That's true.
Alvin leads with Brian leads with Tapu Koko Heatran. Alvin leads Tapu Koko Metagross. Now you might think that Metagross has a very strong situation here because both those Pokemon are weak to Stomping Tantrum, but we have issues with the fact that Metagross doesn't like to eat fire moves. It's slower than a Tapu Koko on Brian's side of the field, which we know is Specs from last game. That does a lot of damage. Alvin's Tapu Koko doesn't really do much damage back, so it's a very interesting dynamic where Alvin's Tapu Koko is setting things up for his Snorlax that just switches in, Metagross switches out. Brian has a free turn essentially to just go for a Choice Scarf Earth Power into Tapu Koko, not getting the knockout, but taking the Volt Switch, losing the Speed Tie, losing the Pokemon before the screens come up. That is not what Alvin wanted to see happen.
Yeah, definitely you wanted that light screen boost if you were Alvin there, but Brian revealing the Choice Scarf on his Heatran, able to pick up that surprise knockout onto Coco with some help from the Volt Switch, and now the Volt Switch allowing
and
Brian,
Speed Tie.
Yeah, the Speed Tie win is definitely another big thing there, but now Brian is going to be able to bring his Azumarill pretty free here, considering that Coco is now down.
Shiny Azumarill doing its best electric type impression.
Oh, it's definitely good color synergy going on right
Crafty comes in from Alvin, recognizing that the Heatran's not doing anything to anybody now with the Scarf Earth Power, and wanting to fake out probably to prevent Azumarill from setting up a Belly Drum and then setting up his own Belly Drum while he has the chance. We probably see Heatran switch back into Tapu Koko to threaten the Snorlax, and we probably see Fake Out going into the Azumarill to get a Belly Drum off on the Snorlax. And note, we see Amoonguss coming in instead. Sleep Tight comes through, revealing the 4th Pokemon. Fake Out into the Azumarill slot like we thought. Alvin going for the Belly Drum while he has the chance. Depending on the speed stats, since Snorlax and Amoonguss are both base 30 Pokemon, Snorlax could be faster, Amoonguss could be faster. We have no idea, but both of Pokemon on Brian's side of the field are threatened to get knocked out right now.
Yeah, I thought this was originally going to be a really good position for Brian, but it turns out Alvin is actually in a way better position now because now he has the setup Pokemon. And Amoonguss,
without any screens, without Intimidate at the moment.
Yeah, but now Amoonguss is definitely threatened here. We'll have to see how the speed tiers interact here. We don't know if there's going to be any speed in the Snorlax or possibly the Amoonguss.
Amoonguss can't spore anything in the electric terrain, but Clear Smog pressure into the Snorlax is always available. Metagross comes in for Alvin, replacing the Scrafty. Brian switches his Azumarill back out into the Tapu Koko. Let's see these speed stats. What's going through? Clear Smog hits the Alvin, hits Alvin Snorlax with a critical hit to boot, but not what he wanted to see. Frustration doing pitiful damage. That's Tapu Koko.
Yeah, it's actually huge now for Brian because now he has the opportunity for a more free setup, considering now Snorlax is at neutral attack.
Right.
But the thing is, Snorlax could always set back up if it chooses to, but now it does have the pressure of Clear Smog. But now Alvin bringing in his Metagross, you're definitely pressuring the Amoonguss now here a little bit.
Now Alvin needs to probably threaten Fake Outs into the Clear Smog to get an attack off.
Yeah.
The issue now, though, is Specs Thunderbolt on Snorlax, which no longer has its berry. Metagross, which is not traditionally that specially bulky and will take a ton of damage. Standalone comes through. Brian's Scarf Heatran. Metagross goes for the Mega Evolution. Heatran is, now that we know it's a Scarf and not a Shuckle Berry, is threatened by high horsepower from Alvin Snorlax for the Oko or Stomping Tantrum from Mega Metagross. Volt Switch on the Tapu Koko into the Snorlax, putting it under half, so if Alvin chooses to recycle, it gets Berry back immediately. Volt Switch probably going into his Amoonguss considering the board position. But Heatran, yep, absolutely into the Amoonguss, and Heatran is threatening with fire moves against Alvin's side of the field. Let's see what Metagross chooses to go for. Iron Head into the Tapu Koko slot, which hits the Amoonguss for a substantial amount of damage, but not really considering the fact that there is a Heatran on the field that outruns and probably Oko's Metagross with Overheat. Recycle from the Snorlax back to full, and we're looking at a position that we're looking at one that I think Brian. What do you think we're at with this position right now?
I definitely think it's a pretty good but also kind of position for both sides here because, like you said, Heatran is going to be threatening some super effective damage on the Metagross, but it also has to be worried about that high horsepower. But Amoonguss can also redirect that. Yeah. And we're going to see Scrafty come in here. Scrafty getting the Intimidate, not really going to do much here considering
maintains the Fake Out pressure though, and that's always important. Since Heatran got its berry back. You see a Rage Powder from Amoonguss, but I probably think that Alvin goes for a Recycle considering the lack of damage he had. Overheat goes into the Metagross.
Miss.
Overheat goes into what was the Metagross. Now the Scrafty dodges it. Considering the bulk we've seen on Scrafty, wouldn't take that much damage from the Overheat, to be completely honest. But now Snorlax is back at full, essentially, with its berry, looking like the start of the game. Snorlax is ready, took a nap, ate a snack, and is ready to drum some more.
Yeah, well, the thing is with Brian here is he doesn't really have a high horsepower switch in. Coco's pretty much close to getting KO'd. Azumarill doesn't appreciate the damage considering it does want to belly drum probably eventually.
Right.
And Scrafty is threatening that Fake Out pressure here. So Snorlax, I don't think it's going to end up setting up here considering, it's got the clear spot
I think
pressure.
if I was Alvin, I would have to switch the Scrafty back into the Metagross, predicting the Heatran to switch not to take the high horsepower. He needs to preserve the he needs to preserve his Scrafty. The fact that he just got the Fake Out damage on the Azumarill and the high horsepower damage for free is fine, but now he's looking at the Amoonguss and thinking, there's no electric terrain up anymore, so Spore can happen. Spore can come straight into the Snorlax, and Azumarill can set up its own belly drum on Scrafty, on Snorlax all day, which is not the best thing for Alvin to see, because Metagross then is threatened by a +6 Aqua Jet with Rage Powder pressure.
I guess in Brian's situation now, he does have a pretty free Rage Powder belly drum, but that's only if he's okay with possibly having the Amoonguss get KO'd.
I don't think he has any need to Rage Powder. I think he just straight Spores into the Snorlax spot. Scrafty doesn't do much damage to anything, and then you get a belly drum off, and then you can +6 Aqua Jet the Scrafty. We see a Foul Play going in, hitting the Amoonguss or Azumarill for...
It's going to knock it into Citrus Berry.
Yeah, with a crit. But it'll still belly drum. It'll still, probably belly drum. And then have about 20-ish% left. Yep, goes for the belly drum. We'll probably see the Spore since no Rage Powder happened into the Metagross, which was a Snorlax.
Yeah, pretty free setup there for Brian considering Alvin decided to switch out his Snorlax here, but we're going to see the Spore going into Metagross, and Azumarill can now just kind of click Aqua Jet.
Right. I think Scrafty and Azumarill are both base 50 speed Pokemon, but Aqua Jet comes out from the Azumarill. Probably not Okoing either Metagross or Scrafty.
Yeah, usually they live.
But Metagross has taken 0 sleep turns, so Amoonguss can Rage Powder for free, take the Foul Play from Alvin's Scrafty, while Azumarill just presses Aqua Jet for days. And that's what we see, Rage Powder from the Amoonguss, Foul Play redirected into the Azumarill, not in Aqua Jet, but instead of Frustration into Alvin's Scrafty, deciding that that was the threat, not the Metagross, because Metagross has taken a nap, and Scrafty had the Foul Play to deal with the Azumarill.
Yeah, interesting now we see Frustration, because usually Belly Drum Azumarills in this format are running either Play Rough or usually Knockoff, but Frustration coming in clutch here for Brian because, you don't have the Play Rough miss chance, and you also don't have to deal with Scrafty resisting the knockoff.
Right.
So, and you don't have to gamble with Aqua Jet damage calcs. So we're just going to see that forfeit from Alvin. Yeah. Well, we're just going to see Alvin forfeit here, and Brian taking a pretty commanding victory, especially after that Azumarill setup.
So I was very interested to see Alvin choose not to bring Gothitelle this game, looking at the name Raja Jaja blah 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 on
what
Brian won. Looking at the fact that he chose not to bring Gothitelle, let Brian switch in his Amoonguss when he wanted to, let him switch out the Heatran when he wanted to, preventing Snorlax from just setting up on an Earth Power locked Heatran. I thought when we saw the Earth Power that was going to be a free Belly Drum and then bring in Gothitelle, and then there was just 2 Pokemon that that Brian was gonna lose, and then that would probably help Alvin deal with the fact that his opponent had the Azumarill and the Amoonguss. He was getting those early knockouts. So I think a redirection an adjustment we might see is him deciding to bring Gothitelle in as opposed to Mega Metagross, which didn't do that much considering the pressure of Heatran.
Yeah. I definitely think the big tournament for that game was getting that Amoonguss
next to the Azumarill. Yeah.
Definitely, Amoonguss is going to be a priority here for Alvin, as it does have the clear smog and the spore pressure.
Right.
But we're just going to see Tapu Koko Metagross a lead here again.
Alvin makes the same leads. We see Peanut Gallery chooses their Pokemon quickly. We see Heatran and Tapu Koko. So it's the same leads for both. Interesting choice from Alvin to continue to bring the Metagross when instead Gothitelle might have been a more decisive pick from him, but considering that we might see a repeat of game 1, Alvin deciding to win the speed tie as opposed to losing it this time. Not sure if that will happen or if he's okay with that occurring. Or Koko might switch out into Scrappy and Metagross goes for Protect, trying to take an Earth Power and then the Volt Switch so we can get Fake Out and damage with a Metagross, but probably a better spot for Brian right now.
Yeah, because one of the big things from Game 1, and he's going to go for Overheat here.
Okay.
Yeah, one of the big things from Game 1 was definitely the lack of that light screen, and as we see here, the Overheat is just going to go into Metagross, and Alvin's just going to let Metagross go down.
And this is so Overheat goes into the Metagross. Alvin finally gets up his light screen against the Tapu Koko locked in, with its choice specs, probably Volt Switching. Gleaming. Okay, see, this is the scenario that if Alvin has his Gothitelle in the back, he is going to have a field day because Heatran's at -2. Coco's locked into Gleam. There's the Gothitelle. Now there's a light screen up. Goth is taking very minimal damage. You can see pretty much a free Volt Switch from Alvin into the Snorlax to set up a Belly Drum. Like, you can just Volt Switch Protect here if you'd like, and then or Volt Switch Trick Room, probably Protect so you get more turns of Trick Room. Just Volt Switch Protect, get a Belly Drum and a Trick Room off. There's just nothing that Alvin, since Brian didn't use Volt Switch, he's just stuck doing nothing this turn. Both of his mons are choice specs. Or choice lock, excuse me.
Yeah, without him going for Volt Switch there, he is stuck in using Dazzling Gleam, but he's just going to go for Overheat into Gothitelle. Gothitelle with the pretty free Protect there.
Right, so Alvin lost the Speed tie, taking the Dazzling Gleam, which we saw is not going to 2-hit KO, gets the Volt Switch probably on the Heatran, but it really doesn't matter. Going into the Snorlax, next turn we're going to see a Trick Room Belly Drum 99 times out of 99. Or out of 100, because I'm giving myself...
That is definitely 100%.
Yeah, I messed that one up a little bit. 99 times out of 100, giving me some wiggle room, but I think I know Alvin well enough to think of the Belly Drum Trick Room button for absolute free. Especially since we saw last game that the Amoonguss was fast in the Snorlax. He just really wants Trick Room up. Overheat comes in for a negative 47%, and Dazzling Gleam does even less.
Oh yeah, that did definitely close to negative 47.
36 HP.
Yeah. Dazzling Gleam going to come in, and that's going to do even less.
That did more. That did more. That did 38 HP.
Yeah.
So Snorlax is drumming very happily with the 0 damage it took, and probably taking a heal pulse from the Goth this turn too.
Yeah.
There's no fear. None.
Yeah, Snorlax pretty much has a free attack here, considering
or
both
Trick
of them.
Room, sorry.
Yeah, Trick Room. Snorlax pretty much has a free attack here, considering none of Brian's Pokemon have Protect, and we're likely going to see the attack into Tapu Koko, considering Heatran is at -2.
-6.
-6, yeah, because it now clicked Overheat a couple more times.
Third Overheat, I think.
Yeah.
No, that's its second. I'm sorry, because it Goth protected. Frustration goes into the Koko. Gone.
That's the easy KO.
Amoonguss comes in. Gone. Azumarill comes in. Gone. Nothing here. Can we just like go 1-1, go to game 3? Like, what's going on here?
Can we just? I think we can call this one pretty in the bag for Alvin here.
Alvin recognized what went wrong with the last game. I think when he
Oh no, now he's at -6.
Now he's at -6. We might have seen Metagross go down and think, man, that's a really bad turn for Alvin, but Alvin was just cheering on the inside like, I have a Gothitelle!
Yeah.
Amoonguss comes through for Brian, but considering the speed stats, unless those were a series of speed ties, I don't see a way for Brian to avoid this situation besides a triple protect.
Yeah, even in this situation, if Amoonguss were to win a potential speed tie and go for Clear Smog, like,
right.
Alvin is still in the
he can
dominant
still psychic
position.
a lot, too.
Yeah, because Heatran is still doing nothing.
Yeah.
And, I mean, Amoonguss can protect all at once. It's going to stall out a couple turns of Trick Room.
Amoonguss protects, Heatran goes for another overheat, eats a Hill Pulse. We might see this be a speed tie. Snorlax decides he wants to top off over there. Overheat goes...
Snorlax?
I'm being a little disrespectful to Heatran, but I just don't care about what it's doing right now. I think it's going to
Alvin does either.
I think by the end of this game, he's going to run out overheat PP and have to struggle, and I kind of want to see that happen.
Yeah, he's used, what, how many?
This
4
is
overheats?
I think whatever turn number it is, that's how many he's used.
Yeah.
Oh, Spore
it
was a speed tie!
It is a speed tie, so we're going to see Spore, but is this really gonna matter?
It was a speed tie. You know, it matters a lot.
It actually does. Oh yeah, because
Clear
now
Smog
Amoonguss
can go in,
put,
but Psychic
Clear
is...
Smog.
Alvin covered the speed tie by Psychicking the Amoonguss. Not to it KOing, procking the berry next time he Psychics, letting him Clear Smog the Snorlax. I think that's actually really funny, but the fact that none of his Pokemon do any damage, I think Brian's out is actually struggling to death, and then letting a Zoom roll set up next to the Amoonguss, and that's really funny.
Yeah, that's a really interesting interaction here. We do confer.
Snorlax wakes up and doesn't care.
Cycle, yeah.
Ate it. So the speed tie is frustrating because regardless of speed conditions, we have to wait on 50% situations to see what happens. Psychic was not a damage roll, as apparently we see it dodged to a KO. Trick Room ends this turn, I think. So then he can Psychic again against the Amoonguss. The idea is to get rid of the... Yep, Trick Room ends, Psychic comes through, Spore comes out into something, Snorlax does something, not really sure what that'll be. Possibly Drum once more, because there needs to be a Spore against the Gothitelle this turn, probably. The Azumarill actually might be an issue if Heatran maybe stalls itself.
He finally goes into Yeah, I was wondering why he kept overheating into Snorlax, because even a critical hit wouldn't have gotten a KO on Snorlax.
Yeah,
but,
so second
just
blows with
barely.
1 HP, Spores the Goth.
The Snorlax. Interesting.
I don't know if I agree with that play, because...
Gothitelle's faster than Amoonguss, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Goth is like base 60 or something. I don't think Goth attacks anything for a while. I think he just lets this position sit until he can get the Snorlax drummed, or when he thinks he'll wake up with the Snorlax, drum Psychic. I think you have to... I think Goth needs to do potentially silly things for a while until he's in a position to set up and take out the Amoonguss on the same turn so he doesn't lose the Azumarill in the back.
Yeah, because I think Alvin is still pretty susceptible to an Azumarill sweep if he does not play this endgame carefully.
Yeah, exactly. He switches out the Snorlax, apparently not afraid of the Azumarill, thinking he can just Volt Switch. Not sure I agree with that, just because... I mean, I don't disagree with it, I guess, but... No, I really don't agree with it.
We're seeing the struggle now.
Yeah, he switches out to... So, funniest thing about struggle is it doesn't target the thing you want it to target. It just picks arbitrarily. Okay, I guess I understand this play. He switches into Coco to prevent Amoonguss from sporing things anymore to get the terrain up. And these side heal pulses, so Coco's back to life and is able to eat an Aqua Jet from the Azumarill when it needs to. We're probably going to see a Volt Switch into the Amoonguss, or a Volt Switch into the Amoonguss again in the Heal Pulse, or a Psychic into the Amoonguss and a Reflect. That actually makes a lot more sense. We'll probably see Psychic into the Amoonguss, see a Reflect, not take too much damage from the Azumarill, and preserve the fact that we have Volt Switch damage the Azumarill when it sets up, if it sets up.
Yeah, the main thing here we have is Brian's team is not really doing a lot offensively now, because even Amoonguss now doesn't... Its usefulness has gotten a lot less... Wow, okay, that could have been articulated a lot better. But yeah, it's become a lot less useful considering now the electric terrain is up and both of Alvin's Pokemon are grounded, so they will be unaffected by Spore. Coco can just kind of set up its screens here to just
reducing that struggle damage. That's what I think Alvin was going for. He protects against the Amoonguss protects against the Psychic from the Gothitelle, probably hoping to get a double protect so then Heatran will feint to struggle and then bring in a Azumarill so that he can Rage Powder. So we need to see if a double protect happens. If it does, that might be an issue, but it fails. Heatran knocks itself out to struggle. That was what I hoped would happen, and it's really amusing. I don't think Coco presses Volt Switch because it wants to be in against... Okay, or not. That's fine, too. Volt Switch knocks the Amoonguss out, goes to Snorlax. Gothitelle is doing something this turn. I think Brian, while he will get a chance to set up a belly drum, isn't going to be able to win with it, I think.
Yeah, because Azumarill's not going to be able to take the onslaught of attacks. And I say onslaught, but that might be a little bit over dramatic for a Gothitelle and a non-boosted Snorlax. But it is definitely not going to be able to take attacks, especially after the belly drum.
Well, it takes 50% of its own HP out, and it doesn't have Gluttony, so it's forced to use a Citrus Berry, so it doesn't get as much recovery back. So after belly drum, Azumarill only has 75% of its normal HP to deal with. And if it's taking a Volt Switch or like 3 Psychics or like a Frustration from a neutral Snorlax, with Reflect up, Snorlax is not fainting to a +6 Frustration if it's physically defensive. So we see that Azumarill might be able to set up, and Brian finally loses the Heatran on the field. But I think it's too little too late. Alvin chooses not to use a sleep turn from the Snorlax by switching out. Snorlax is still at 0 sleep turns. Goes to the Coco on a belly drum, presumably to take a Psychic from the Gothitelle, and then forcing the Azumarill to take a Volt Switch and another Psychic. I don't know if I agree with switching out there. Okay, so now we Heal Pulse the Coco. I guess it takes a +6 Aqua Jet in Reflect.
I guess we'll have to see. And it's also curious to see how much Gothitelle is going to take from a +6 Aqua Jet. But Brian might have to call a Protect here if Alvin decides to go for a Protect. But he's not. He's just going to let Aqua Jet go into Coco, and it actually lives.
Yeah, Aqua Jet lives. That was pretty crucial.
And that Volt Switch is almost going to be enough, but a Psychic will surely finish it off, and that will claim the game for Alvin.
Yep. So that's game 2. Alvin adjusts by recognizing how powerful Gothitelle is. Game 3, I think Brian decides that Overheat is not on his Heatran's moveset and chooses not to press it. Because that's what gave Alvin the chance he needed. He saw Brian lock himself into 2 moves that traditionally don't do that much damage. I think Brian got cocky by the fact that there was no Goth game 1. Game 2, there was a Gothitelle. Gothitelle did what Goth does best and eats up weak attacks for no damage.
Yeah, Heatran definitely proving a lot less effective in that game just because of how it was locked into Overheat. Like, Brian got a pretty good first turn KO there on Metagross, but that allowed Alvin to get a free switch in his Gothitelle, which allowed Heatran to get
in a way. It was not a pretty good first turn. Like,
yeah, like it was a good knockout. Like, it was a knockout, Alvin. But it was not a good knockout.
Alvin needed 2 Pokemon thereafter, and he said, "You know what? Eat my Metagross. I don't like him. He's not eating his vegetables at home, putting up a fight. Like, I'm just not a fan of this Pokemon anymore.
Just take him.
Look how antagonistic that Pokemon looks." I'm not sure what Alvin does differently in that game. He might decide... I feel like he needs all 4 of those Pokemon that he brought. I think he brings the same 4.
Yeah, I know Brian's definitely his game plan here will be to either, maneuver better around that Gothitelle.
Not let that happen.
Yeah, basically not let Gothitelle just kind of sit there and trap. And I definitely think Brian will be rethinking the Heatran play here. Maybe bring in
interesting adjustment. Yeah, an interesting adjustment we might see from Mr. Yums is that he leads Amoonguss Azumarill this game.
Yeah.
Because nothing actually on Alvin's team really stops him from just getting a Rage Powder belly drum off.
Yeah, Brian does. Alvin's team doesn't really have a lot to I don't think anything that can one-shot the Amoonguss, and that's he can pretty much get a free belly drum Aqua Jet.
Yeah, so that might be an interesting adjustment to see the leads. So we see Tapu Koko Scrafty possibly predicting that adjustment and wanting to prevent it from happening with a turn 1 fake out. And we do not see that happen. We see Coco Tran once more.
Wow, okay, just going the same lead all 3 games. But I definitely think Alvin is in a pretty okay position here because he can just fake out and go for Light Screen.
Well, even if that happens, though, there is the Specs Dazzling Gleam, so we do need to get a speed tie from Alvin to get the Light Screen before the Dazzling Gleam takes out the Scrafty. If Scrafty is an Assault Vest with Light Screen, it should live a Choice Specs Dazzling Gleam. But Brian might also be shell-shocked from having gone for a Specs Gleam and then losing to a Gothitelle
switch in.
So he might not want to do that. He might just press Volt Switch regardless of the circumstances, so that doesn't happen.
Yeah, the thing is with Alvin's lead here, his lead is very passive, and Brian is threatening a lot of damage, and we're just going to see the Earth Power here. That we saw that this did not KO game 1.
Nope, so fake out one of the Coco to prevent the Coco from losing a speed tie, getting the Volt Switch. What happened game 1? Light Screen is up, which is much better for Alvin than game 1, but I think Brian is going to think about the fact that Metagross has done nothing for Alvin, so that the Goth Lats is probably in the back, and is most likely going to switch out the Heat Train and press a Volt Switch kind of situation with the Coca, so he can maneuver around the ensuing Goth Switch. We see Heat Train go to Amoonguss to take that into account, and then Coco hard switch. Was it a hard switch or Volt Switch?
Hard switch.
Okay, hard switch to not risk the speed tie into Snorlax. Scrafty probably is about to hard switch right back into Gothitelle, which is not what happened. Or that was a Volt Switch.
Yeah, that was a Volt Switch into, I think.
Yeah, okay, right. Okay, so Alvin hard switches his Coco to Snorlax. Brian Volt switches his to Azumarill. We see Azumarill next to Amoonguss, which is a position Alvin never likes to see on the board. Gets a low kick crit into the Amoonguss for approximately healing it.
Yeah,
so
definitely negative damage.
This is an interesting position. Snorlax can deal with the fact that it has a speed tie. There's electric terrain up, so nothing's getting slept, but Clear Smog is annoying. The last one is Metagross. Alvin elects not to bring Gothitelle, not really respecting how much it did for him last game. Not sure I agree with that decision.
Yeah, we're just going to see Metagross come here for Alvin, and I mean, this is with a switch here, we saw the same thing go down game 1. A switch gives Brian pretty much a free belly drum.
Amoonguss Rage Powders gets his belly drum off with the Azumarill. It's important to note that Tapu Koko went for a leg screen instead of a reflect, so there's no reduction in damage. Frustration goes into the Rage Powder like we would expect. Neither Pokemon faints to a +6 attack from Azumarill, I would expect. Snorlax is really fat, and he eats his veggies unlike Metagross, so I feel like you can take something. Metagross is not fainting to a +6 Aqua Jet at this point. I don't think Ice Punch kills the Azumarill though, or Amoonguss, so I feel like Brian is now just in the spot to just press Rage Powder, press attack, press Rage Powder, press attack, and win the game.
Yeah, as long as Amoonguss stays alive, he can just keep clicking Rage Powder. +5 now Azumarill's going to be at with the Intimidate.
That +5 is actually going to matter, I think, when it comes to Scrafty in regards to frustration damage. Metagross gets an attack off with its Mega Evolution. We have not seen a switch out from Brian's side of the field, so we're going to stay with the +5 Azumarill and the Amoonguss. Amoonguss goes to the Rage Powder, keeping the Azumarill safe from this turn. +5 Aqua Jet into the Metagross, not going to kill it at all.
Wow.
Does a lot of damage though. Ice Punch not taking out the Amoonguss.
Yeah, just going to live with a sliver there.
And proccing the berry. Very bad news for Mr. Hidayat. That's looking like game.
Yeah, especially with all the chip damage Metagross has taken. I mean, Scrafty's Fake Out isn't going to really matter too much here because
it's
just
double protect off.
Yeah, you can just kind of double protect to stall off Fake Out, and then Azumarill can just go back to clicking buttons.
Azumarill clicking buttons is Azumarill clicking buttons, and nothing on Alvin's side of the field can really take the Aqua Jets at this point. I think Scrafty needs to switch out, predicting the fact that there's a double protect so we can get Intimidate back in. Scrafty switches out from Alvin's side of the field. Let's see if it works out for him.
You have Snorlax coming
Oh,
back
it's a
in
Rage
here.
Powder. That's not what he wanted to see.
Yeah, Rage Powder coming out again from Azumarill at Amoonguss, but Azumarill's just going to go for another Aqua Jet. That is going to pick up the easy KO on Metagross. And Alvin just getting these switches out here, just giving Brian free turns.
Yeah.
And this just gives, like, again, we saw the same story in Game 1, like Alvin's team just relying on those switch outs to get board positioning, but you can't do that with a +6 Azumarill in your face. Well, now it's +4.
Now it's +4 with the Scrafty, which has Fake Out pressure. Snorlax can technically go for a belly drum, but he then starts doing some damage. It's facing a Clear Smog speed tie. I think Alvin at the moment is regretting the fact that he didn't get a reflect up, and it seems as if he misclicked forfeit. Okay. No, he's not going for it. Oh, maybe.
Is he just going for forfeit? Is it already over?
Yeah, it is.
It's over.
All right.
Wow.
Alvin just gives the win to Mr. Youm for his second MSS victory in a row with the same squad, looking hot, looking like he really just is unbeatable.
Yeah, really good stuff to Brian. That's his second MSS victory in a row with a pretty similar, if not the same team.
It's the same team.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Rajaja Block can't take the set, but I'm not sure. Do we want to get an interview with Brian, I guess? Brian, come here.
Brian, come here. Impromptu interview.
No?
No?
Oh, okay.
Okay,
We'll get Brian in for a minute. We'll just talk about what happened while they take pictures or something.
Yeah.
So game 3, Alvin elected not to bring Gothitelle, which is what very reliably gave him the win game 2. Choosing instead to bring Pokemon that let Amoonguss set up all, or Azumungus set up all over him. Not really sure I agree with that, but it happened.
Yeah. I think Alvin's game plan there was what happened in game 2. Just have Gothitelle trap in Brian's unfavorable leads and combinations of Pokemon, and then just kind of wear down his team with Snorlax. But he decides to not bring Gothitelle game 3, and like I said, he just kind of played too passively, allowed Azumarill to just get that +6 belly drum, and that was just GG. Like, Azumarill just started clicking buttons, pretty much.
Who's interviewing Brian?
I don't know.
I want to do it. All right. Get out of here.
All right.
Leave.
I'm out. We're going to get an interview with Brian, and it was good commentating.
Yeah, it was fun.
See you guys later.
Yep. We
Hello
now
there.
have Brian Youm coming through with his very hype trophy. Show the viewers at home your trophy. How are you feeling with MSS number 2 in a row? You're about 33% Justin Krubach right now. How do you feel?
Okay, so the matchup I against Alvin was really hard for me
Right. Why was that hard?
because he can literally repeat Intimidate again, and those screens literally just destroyed me because I actually faced him in Swiss and I had no way out.
Okay. Did you lose in Swiss?
Yeah, I actually did lose in Swiss, but I took time to reevaluate and was like, hey, let's try this because Scarf Heatran is actually a really good Pokemon just to punish a lot of things.
We saw it just absolutely ruin that Metagross's life game too. Yeah, don't do that.
So I feel like I kind of choked away game 2 because if I bolt switched Nurse Powered into the Metagross instead of just overheating, I feel like I could have gotten into a really better
That's why I have
position.
special defense drops chances too.
No, it's clear body, so.
Oh yeah, I
didn't
forgot.
matter.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no.
so-
Yeah, I meant against Snorlax or something if it comes in.
Yeah,
And you
because
got to hit it.
my Coco is actually choice spec, so
Right.
Earth Power plus Bolt Switch would have guaranteed KO, so if I got in Azumarill instead of just wasting my Heatran, I feel like I could have been in a lot better position because I could have had the opportunity to belly drum and everything else.
So tell me about that transition to the game 3, right? You saw game 2 what you did and what lost you that game against the Gothitelle. What different decisions did you make game 3? Because you brought the same lead every time.
Yeah, so what I was thinking was he's probably going to bring Gothitelle, Scrafty, Lax, and Coco. I was expecting the same lead from them, or at least Scrafty, or I knew that Coco was going to be the lead.
But it needs the screens.
Yeah, so basically what I thought was, hey, if he brings in Metagross, I can Bolt Switch and Earth Power next turn instead of just wasting my Heatran.
Right.
So my thought process was basically that I have to make a lot of good plays to get out of this, so I pretty much try to punish Alvin as much as possible. The turn that Amoonguss also was in the field versus Scrafty and Metagross, and he didn't he didn't fake out the turn. I went for the Aqua Jet because if my Amoonguss goes down to an Ice Punch or Iron Head, I actually have a better situation versus him because
You bring Coco right back.
yes,
Yeah.
Coco's a really good Pokemon against Alvin because the Choice Specs Thunderbolt is going to be so
Yeah.
much.
We saw, though, both of the games you took were after you were able to set up the Azumarill right next to the Amoonguss. Why did you think that that's what you had to go for instead of bringing in your Aegislash that set, or I don't remember what your other Pokemon is.
The thing about Alvin's
Oh,
team is,
Salamence. Yeah.
So the thing about my team is that the Dragon Dance doesn't really help so much because Alvin's Scrafty, as you saw, has foul play, so it pretty much punishes me if I don't have a Mungus. But the best chance of me to break through the screens right away is Azumarill.
Just as fast as possible setting
Yeah.
up. Yep.
I cannot give him a chance to recycle Intimidate. I need to punish him as much as possible every single turn with Azu. That was my thought process, and it kind of worked.
So how do you feel taking your babysitter out in the finals on stream? What does that make you feel?
I honestly thought I was going to lose, but Azu did a good job as usual. Like last time, I won the MSS just because Azumarill was such a good boy, or girl. But that match was probably one of the best matches I ever had with anyone in the Peanut Gallery so far, but shout out to the Peanut Gallery.
So we're looking at 2 MSSs in a row. How close are you to your World's Invite, Brian?
I am about, if I top 64 or regional, I guarantee my World's Invite.
That's fantastic. How are you feeling more confident about that? Are you happy about the spot you've been in, especially with how good Northern Virginia's been to you in these last 2 weeks?
Well, to be fair, before I started actually taking MSS serious, I actually went 0-2 drop pretty much every single PC, but I'm just glad that this team I stole from Emo Game is treating me really well because I feel like it's actually really my play style.
All right. Well, we saw that shout out for ML Game. Congratulations,
And
Brian.
the Peanut Gallery.
And the Peanut Gallery, as always. Congrats, Brian, our Northern Virginia Chantilly mid-season Showdown champion. We were brought to you by Tito at Tito KMF, the god, the legend, the beautiful boy right here.
And thank you for
through.
commentating.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good friend Rajan.
We hope to have more footage for you when our beautiful man Kyle comes forward with more events. Thank you for the viewers at home. Thank you, Brian. Congratulations on your victory.
Thank you.
Let's kill it.
We're leaving them how they are.
Just going to be using Clear Smog onto the Mimikyu. Going to break that disguise finally.
Yeah, another useful Clear Smog.